Now, what is more interesting is that during an event as a child and as you create your principles of pretense, your parents normally will end up after they have lambasted you, with a point where they'll say, you know, I'm only doing this because I love you. And then they'll say to you, I love you, and then they will expect you to say back, I love you. And now you're in that silence, that state of control, that state of what you would term forgiveness, because you are now expected to say, as a statement of forgiveness, I love you. So you start to associate forgiveness, control, pretense, kindness, compassion, all of it at once as your methodology of survival in this world. And anything that would promote that and allow you to live in that world of pretense where no common sense exists, where you are not able to change the way society works, you will participate in it because it allows you to do the same. It gives you that freedom to pretend. It gives you the freedom to lie. And what is fascinating, you know everyone else is lying and doing exactly what you're doing because everybody went through the same point. Not only that, if somebody challenges your reality and starts to show you how you're fucking with yourself, you'll call them a motherfucker. Because in saying to them that they're a motherfucker, you're implying that they're as fucked as you. Who gives them the right to question your fuckness? Because they've gone through the same stuff, they've learned the same methods of pretending, and now they're claiming that they can give that up and actually live a real life. That's not possible, because you cannot see you being able to live in this world as a real life. You can only see your own fuckness, and you can only see how you fuck your children, and therefore you'll immediately use one simple way to push the person back to the memory of how they were fucked as a child by calling them a motherfucker, because that was how they were fucked by their mother. You'll find in societies where, and cultures where, the abuse from the parent to the child is more, that the word motherfucker is used more. So just have a look where the word motherfucker is used more, and you'll know how much more the abuse in those homes were. It's a fascinating experience. Now, what one must consider is the following. The only way you're going to stop this is through unconditional forgiveness. Because you must understand that the parents did that only because their parents did it to them. It's the whole point of 7 generations. The sins of the fathers will be visited upon the children, and their children and their children. Your parents didn't know. You may be listening to this now and understand this point. The cycle cannot stop if it isn't stopped. The way to stop the cycle is to not blame anyone that is involved in the cycle, but to stop and to actually unconditionally forgive everyone, and to forgive yourself, and then to make sure, by remaining absolutely aware, that you do not allow yourself to go into a condition where you become a motherfucker. And in that we can change the cycle of abuse that is existent and which participate in creating the pretense of love. Now this pretense of love is then taken further in religion and the New Age, and especially in the New Age. In religion, the primary point of motherfucking comes where the person needs somebody that keeps them in check through fear. Somebody that can give them the same treatment that the parents gave them. And that religion fits the point perfectly, because it gives this massive fear, which used to be the wall plug, and you're putting your finger into the wall plug. It's now you being warned about going to hell, which is the same point as some major fucking electrical shock and burning hot thing that's going to fuck you. I mean, for no reason at all. You can't see the thing, you don't understand it really, but because they say it's so, it must be so. how can they be wrong? You see, they have survived so long, and you want at least to survive as long as they did. So therefore you will follow the instructions and advice accordingly. At that point, it works with the same point of forgiveness, which says, you know that you can't really change, your forgiveness isn't real, and that you haven't actually changed, but Jesus died for your sins, so therefore you don't have to really change. As long as Jesus died for your sins, it's okay. This mess that's going on inside you isn't really real, because when you die, Jesus will just wipe it all clean. It's not your responsibility. Jesus did it for you. The same point, virtually, that your parents did when they came to the point of, after the lambasting and after they've abused you in various forms, verbally and emotionally, that they will come to you and say, I love you. And they expect you to say, I love you, and to say, I do it for your best interest. Exactly the same point is repeated in the religion. Now, the New Agers has taken this to another level of motherfucking. They're the real cool motherfuckers, because they have taken that space within themselves where they pretend and they are silent and they're in control. And they've made that an ultimate point where they can walk in this world without being affected by anything, and the starvations or the mess that's going on in the world, they don't feel it at all, but they're silent inside. And they call that love, and they pretend that to be real, and they believe from their perspective, because it's always worked for them as a child, that it'll work for them through this whole mess that is existent in earth and on earth. And all they have to do is remain in that silence and remain as that love, and that is their walk of forgiveness. And somehow, magically, just like it worked when you were a child, if you just keep on pretending, eventually your parent will believe you and say, okay, I believe you. That eventually, just by keep on pretending and walking, that the world will change by itself. Exactly the same point. Who fucked you? Your mother fucked you. You're a motherfucker. And now you're motherfucking existence. It is important to start to really, with common sense, investigate where one's behavior is coming from. And the only way to solve this particular problem is to go into forgiveness and remove the layers of every single event that's ever happened. Forgive everyone that has been involved in creating this particular version of yourself until you are back as a child. When you're a child again, with no programming, that means with no experience, no judgments, no fears, everything clear, then you're actually facing rebirth for the first time. But it's not possible to face rebirth. That means to birth yourself from the physical and be a version of yourself that is truly free from all these fucking and motherfucking. That it is necessary that in that you have to really investigate every single thing that's happened. You'll find that many of the points you have forgotten. You've suppressed it because you have created a version of yourself that deals with tension, that deals with threats, that deals with conflict in forms of silence and forgetfulness, because you have forced yourself to not participate beyond the point of standing your ground through being silent inside yourself and playing the game whatever was enforced on you. You didn't manage to see that you could do anything else because you were small and they were big. In terms of, if you really go back to your childhood, you'll notice that your world was very small because you were very small, but as you grew up and you were exposed to more and more things, your world became bigger as you grew bigger. The same point is relevant within the totality of your existence, because your existence is dependent on how you've exposed yourself to things, and you will use the same methodology that you used to control your parents to actually control your reality.